for a long time and so knowledgeable in a lot of different areas. And she's going to be speaking tonight. She's recently done, I think you did a class on, you know what, I'm gonna let you tell.
Okay.
You know what, I'm
Okay.
gonna do it that way. So this is Ursula Lentini.
Thank you. So happy you're all here. We're talking about thrivability and survival. So in situations of survival, we don't want to only survive, we want to thrive. All right, so I have a question for you. This is an interactive class. I'm more of a teacher than a speaker. What is this?
Plastic bag.
Black plastic.
Black plastic bag.
Raincoat.
Trump supporter.
Yeah.
Body
Living
bag.
container.
I'm sorry.
Body
Yeah.
bag. David, I asked you not to answer.
Water collector.
Water collector. Window liner.
Raincoat.
Raincoat.
It's a byproduct of the petroleum.
Petroleum, byproduct of petroleum. Good, you're on track, you're on track. Okay, what is the most important, in an emergency situation, what is the most important organ? Most important organ?
Lungs.
Lungs, brain, heart,
Depends if you want to reproduce or not.
liver,
Stomach.
brain. What's the most important body part?
Torso?
Hands, torso,
Feet.
eyes,
Eyes and hands.
feet. It's the feet.
No.
Besides injury, what is the quickest way our body can fail?
Dehydration.
Dehydration,
Sleep?
hypothermia. What is our most important resource?
Water.
Water,
Oxygen.
oxygen, chocolate,
No. iPhone, please. Oh.
We didn't get it yet?
no, we didn't get it yet.
Matches?
Most important resource, matches,
Say water.
fire,
Shelter?
phone,
Time.
What's our most important
time,
resource?
shelter,
Is that the question?
Allies.
relationship. What's the most important thing that we need to focus on?
Conserving bodily warmth.
Well, that's hyperthermia.
I was
So
thinking a date for that.
Survival.
survival, but be more specific because everything's like survival.
Relationships. That's it.
No, need to focus on for ourselves.
Oh, for ourselves. Okay.
Breathing,
Mental health.
mental health. That's right. Because we need to make good decisions. Right? So if you speak to emergency people, firemen and so on, a person was okay, and then they made some poor decisions and the situation got worse. That's a frequent occurrence in emergencies. And what's the most important responsibility to ourselves? Most important responsibility. Stay alive.
Reality.
Stay positive.
Mindset. Mindset. So if you're like, we're gonna get out of here, I'm not gonna die, that's the thing that's gonna make you survive and thrive. So, now that we had that discussion, what are you feeling? Hi, Carlos. What are you feeling right now?
Powerful.
Powerful?
In control.
In control? That was quick, okay. You didn't get the answers real fast though, right?
Yeah.
So how does that make you feel? Vulnerable, thank you. Little honesty's always good. How else are you feeling?
Intrigued.
Okay, intrigued,
Enlightened.
enlightened,
Feel like there's more to know than I thought I knew.
right? There's more to know than we thought we knew.
Matches and water.
Okay, so do you feel a little insecure? Like, oh, I didn't get any of those right. Right, a little vulnerable, insecure. uh-oh, what don't I know, what Carla just said. So these are kind of some, hi Carlos, these are some kind of insecurities that we have. Now, if we can't be in charge, thank you, of our mindset, our emotions are gonna come in. Anyone have their emotions take over in an emergency situation? Remember I said when things go bad, like you're fine, but then things go bad? That's an emotional reaction. So my name is Dr. Ursula Lentini, and I do subconscious work. I have a doctorate in consciousness studies, which is metaphysics, quantum physics, and spirituality intersection. I do mostly subconscious work where we go deep inside and we get to the cause of the problems rather than deal with the symptoms of the problems. So if anyone wants to clear house and clean house and get their head on straight so they don't have emotional reactions, I have that available to you. I also do a weekly meditation where we bless the planet with loving kindness and in return get the benefits. So you're all invited to that. I have a newsletter every month that I'd like to have you sign up for so you can keep abreast of the things I'm doing. I do group classes, so I'm always offering. I do professional speaking with Vistage and workshops. So it's a little bit about who I am. So why should I be standing up here talking to you? Because I've lived through 5 hurricanes, category 3 and 4. The first one was 36 hours, and I was laying under the house in the dark all night in the crawl space, wondering. Which hurricane is that? This one was Lewis down in the Caribbean, a long time ago. The fires that I've been in were in California. I lived there in 2018. It was the year of the fire. So I would go from one to the other and go back home, and then another one would flare up. I was driving by and I would see flames, in the mountain ridges. One time I left early because I thought, well, I have a feeling that it's coming. So I just packed everything up and there was no fire. I went down to Los Angeles. I was sitting on my friend's couch, and I was like, ugh, I feel so foolish. And my friend said, you listen to your intuition. Just stay here. The next day passed, and I was like, oh. She's like, just stay here. And the third day, and the TV was showing lines of traffic with the mountain on fire, back to back. And that's the road that I took to get there.
Wow.
So following our intuition, our instinct, our intelligence, and our heart is one of the most important things we can do in a state of emergency. All right, so let's play a little imagination game here. All of a sudden, let's pretend I am placed into a battlefield, a scene in the battlefield, and I am standing next to a 2-star general. I'm reacting like this. Oh, hey, oh. And he's reacting like this. What is the difference between him and I?
Training.
Training.
Experience.
Discipline.
Discipline.
Gender.
Yes. Yes. It is safe to say that in this room. I'm okay with that. I know.
Lieutenant Colonel might be a different thing.
That was a risky thing that you shared. Good. I appreciate your bravery. What else is the difference between the way I'm responding and the way he's responding?
Control of emotions?
Yes, emotional control. Did you have something to share?
I'm trying to,
Catch
we're
up with
wondering
you.
what the previous question was.
I was answering your question, to what you were just saying.
So we don't know what the answer was to.
Okay.
The general and you, and what was the question?
Yes. What is the difference between the way he's responding and I'm responding?
Okay.
So we were saying, this last one was emotional. One of the gentlemen said gender, because female is supposed to respond different. Experience, discipline. So things like that are different. So right now, before we start studying survival, we're this person, right? We're emotionally responding, we're not trained, we don't really understand, we're overstimulated, because in a crisis, there's an overstimulation. And that's why the brain goes offline, because there's too many things to process. And then over here, he's been trained. He knows This is no time to get emotional. I need to be online. I need to have severe clarity, because if he makes a bad decision, it's lives. So what's important in surviving a situation? Staying calm,
Intuition.
intuition, clarity,
Preservation.
preservation,
Confidence.
confidence,
And your own safety.
safety. Let's start talking about that.
Yeah.
What do we have to manage?
Lining the
Your
options
environment.
too.
Threat.
Your
Say again?
surroundings.
Lining the options, what to do.
Planning options. What'd you say?
Threat.
Threat, managing our threats, fear, intuition, knowledge,
Controlling
location.
your bodily functions, breathing if you're in the limited air.
Yep. Where am I gonna go? What are my resources? What do I have to bring? Where am I going? Right? There's a lot of things all of a sudden to manage. So in this position, it's too much information and I cannot manage. In this position, he's been trained for what? Order, prioritizing, knowing what's first, what's second, what's more important than the other thing. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. Okay? Anybody learning anything new right now?
Yeah.
What are you learning? We need to be generals.
Manage our emotions and to be able to stay calm so that we can
The other way.
focus on the important things that need to happen in order to.
Managing our emotions so we can stay focused, so we know what to survive in.
You might have to cut out some of the people that are part of your elite group that are over emotional. You might have to say, thanks, Grandma. You've been a big help.
We're gonna talk about that, right? We're gonna talk about that.
What about the thing that goes deeper, and you might talk about this too, but everybody in here has a different childhood, and it's what I call the transference of all those things from childhood and so on. To take out all the negative or the things that you.
That's why you need to come see me and do subconscious work.
Well,
That's
what I'm
right,
saying,
because we're
so
gonna
many
be,
people are gonna
yeah, we
take it and
respond,
run with
right?
it
So he's
differently.
saying we have triggers already built inside of us. So if I'm in an emergency situation, more than often, those triggers are gonna get activated, right? So that's why the difference between the general and the female here. So when we have a clear mind, when we're void of triggers, that's where we can step into self-leadership. And we're in self-leadership, now other people around us can follow. So how I started this journey is I felt something into my female Gwen, right? So in my female essence, I said, something's not right. Something is not right. And I was wondering, what is that thing? So I started asking questions, we started sharing videos, we started looking around, we started asking questions. And then I found out I was in menopause, and I'm like, oh, that's it. That was only a small piece of it, because I knew the picture was bigger and I knew something was going on. I joined communities and we talked about conversations that were not happening in the media. And I found things out, I followed the money, I followed the power. And I said, okay. Now I know why I'm scared, but I need solutions. I don't want to talk about the problems. Like in my subconscious work, we go to the cause, not the symptoms. So I wanted to know, well, what are the solutions to these big problems? And I wasn't hearing any and finding any. Now I have another layer of fear. I'm a single woman and I have to be self-resourced. So now what am I gonna do? So instead of focusing on the problems, I started focusing on what do I need to do in the middle of these problems since nobody's coming up with some solutions. Now I'm in survival mode. So I'm thinking, okay, what are my resources? What are my history? Where can I draw from in my history? Okay, I was raised in Michigan. We have 5 months of winter there. So I have a hardiness inside of me. We grew up camping, so I'm very comfortable in outdoors. Sometimes I talk to my city friends and they don't like the bugs. I'm like, don't worry about the bugs. It's the snake. No.
The bear took, right.
And I'm adventurous. I like physical things. And then when I lived in the Caribbean, I lived on an island off of a main island, so I was outdoors all the time. It's like a combination of living on a boat and a farm. Then those hurricanes, boy, they sure shaped me up. I figured some things out. We were dependent on water. We had a cistern. We were dependent on rainwater in a drought island. And one of the hurricanes had us out of power for 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had a generator, a very noisy generator, and we would run it for a few hours for the prosciutto in the freezer. So I learned a lot of resources there. When I moved to California in 2018, it was one fire after the other, like I said. So one of the things around stress, Basil was just talking to me about his daughter who was in Florida recently, and they decided to stay for the hurricane. So she had dogs and cats and children and a husband, and she was okay and did all things, but she was having some heart issues. And the doctor said, "You're okay, but the stress, the compounded stress level has made you sick." So that's another thing we have to consider when we're facing a decision. You see, they said, come stay with us. No, we're gonna tough it out. Did you see the videos? Oh, the river's over there, we're fine. Oh, the river's over here and we're not fine. Okay, people don't have a plan. They went into their attic, now they're trapped in the attic and nobody can see them. Can you think of an emergency situation or a difficult, let me just say, can you think of a difficult situation that you have been in your life that had you prepared, it would have turned out different?
Yeah.
He said just about every day.
I was mountain with some friends, and we were pretty prepared. We thought we were prepared, and I was on the bottom. We were doing delayed, so if anybody got in trouble, we could catch them. And then all of a sudden, I was halfway up the mountain, and all of a sudden the ropes came over the edge. Those bastards were supposed to make sure I got out, but all of a sudden the ropes came over the edge, and they so I had to free climb all the way up. And then all of a sudden I started losing grip and losing footing, and I sort of was very concerned.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, some great big hairy arm came down and helped me out. It was a damn bear they saw.
Oh.
But he probably picked up on, somebody's cub that is down there, and I'm going to help him up. And but you can't plan on that.
No, you can't plan on
But
that.
I just got lucky. Otherwise, I'd have been slide down 3/4 of a mile on my belly.
All right. So have you been through a divorce? Okay? And you don't want to really plan for that, right? You go in with thoughts of forever. But if someone wants to get divorced, get married at an adult age, the adult responsible thing to say is like, look, if this goes south, how are we going to work it out? Now you have a plan, and now you have more reason to stay committed because you don't want the other options. You see, that's a plan. It's not so lovely, but it's realistic. So when you have a business, when you start your business, you're supposed to have an exit plan. How can I sell my business? That's a smart way to go. So let's get back to emergency preparedness. The way I break things down is we're going to start inside and we're going to move outside, outside, outside. So we're going to talk about spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, environmentally, your space, your physical space, and socially. So what do I need spiritually? What'd you say? Pray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need faith in something.
Faith, prayer. What else? I know there's a lot of spiritual people in this room. What else is in that relationship? Trust.
That's
Right?
the work.
So if I can trust my higher power, that silence within, now I have confidence, not from my experience, but from the invisible. So how many of us have walked in faith, like, I don't know how this is gonna turn out? Hey, guess what? Does it turn out? For the most part. So if I've got that as my backup plan and my forward plan, then I can have some confidence as I move forward. So the other pieces in spiritual connection to me are my instinct. Yes, no, go, stay. That person's safe, that person's not safe. Not you, just pointing. Instinct. So if I have that trust, now I can trust this. Unless I have some trauma before that says don't trust anything. So see how we have to clean house? My intuition, is that directly related to my spiritual connection?
Yeah.
So I need to have clarity around my intuition that says, okay, do it this like this, go on over there, but that doesn't make sense, go on over there, okay, I'm listening. Obedience to my spirituality. Again, you need clarity, you need non-emotional, right? You don't need to ajna power your way through life. We need to be in flow state in order to be directed to safety. That doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. I'm not gonna do that. Oh. Right? So that's that intuition. When we're in prayer, I lead a meditation every week. When we're in meditation, our system is calmer. Now we have more clarity and we can see and listen inside. And then my heart. It's not the right thing to do. What about the others? So now this is another play, in it. So that is our spiritual connection. What do we need mentally?
Confidence.
Clarity, confidence,
Plan.
a plan,
Partner.
a partner, that helps a lot.
Self-discipline.
Self-discipline, for sure. So the discipline, what are we disciplining? Emotions, 100%, right? And that's why, again, that development of self-mastery, of knowing our triggers and reducing our triggers as much as possible. Because now you're in a place of power, because you can have clarity. So when we're having that mental ability, the clarity is key. Because what did I say is our most biggest, our, not the mindset, but that our mind is clear, that our brain, we have to take care of our brain. If we don't have clarity, we're not gonna make good decisions. The most important thing is making good decisions. Remember the one person, and then they make a series of poor decisions, and then somebody's not okay. So our decision making is so important. So now we're trying to get all these resources so we can make really good decisions. That's survival. Good decision making, in one word, basically. All right? What about emotionally? We just spoke about it. But what about emotionally?
Staying in the moment would help.
Yes, staying in the moment. Because we're not in a place of fear, we're not in a place of worry or anxiety, we're not in the past, and we're not freaking out about the future. So when we're in that place of moment, that goes back to the spiritual, right? Because we're connected, and we're listening, and we're watching. So if I'm in my moment, I'm gonna notice things that I'm not gonna notice if I'm in anxiety. Back to the brain, right? Because my system is calm, I'm in the moment and I'm listening, and I'm watching, and I'm like observing. I'm in a place of observation rather than control. Now I'm resourced. Very good point. So managing the emotions is gigantic.
What about rationalization? You rationalize the situation we're in.
Yes,
Now I'm gonna decide this for this.
exactly. So she's saying rational, being rational about things, and that's back into our mental body, and that's a part of the making good decisions. So we need to be realistic, that's one of the words we used. Very, very practical. Remember the general? He has to be practical. He has to know exactly what to do and cause and effect. That goes back to the mental. If I make this decision, 3 steps later, is that gonna be okay? Or did I just cut the rope? Right, so if anyone's a camper, don't cut your rope. Never cut your rope.
Save it.
Yeah, because you need rope, you need rope. So if I cut my rope here, then I shot myself in the foot over there. So that's a part of the mental rationality out to think things through. You think that general's thinking things through when he's looking at the battlefield? Right? He needs to think for everybody. Okay, spiritual, mental, emotional. What about physical? Pardon?
Of course, you have to have a place of security.
Security?
If you don't feel secure, you're not gonna be rational. You're gonna be worrying about that snake or whatever.
Right.
The water.
But when you get to the aspect of physical,
Yes.
then you're going to stress, which becomes kicking into adrenaline.
Yes.
Then your adrenaline clouds your thinking power.
Yes.
That's the problem.
That's right.
Where the general is used to controlling the surge of his
Adrenals.
adrenaline and doesn't get tunnel
That's
vision
right.
like anybody else would.
That's right. So in case you didn't heard, the managing our adrenal, so our stress level. So stress is not the bank account, the relationship, the job, the neighbor. Stress is my reaction to the bank account, the. Okay? So when we know ourselves, back to his point, right? When my triggers are manageable and I'm in charge of them instead of them overwhelming me, then I have some capacity, because you want choice. If I'm overwhelmed with adrenaline, then you're right, the brain goes into tunnel vision, and I've taken all my choices away. Because I'm not noticing, oh, there's an exit, oh, someone's over there, they can help. Oh, look, there's a pathway there. Because we can't observe. So managing our physical chemistry.
Now I know that because I was overseas in a robbery in a restaurant. Next minute, like you say, you could plan, you can't plan. When they walked in and the guns were coming out, restaurant full, you have a gun to your head, you then go into survival. I was armed, I had to line the gun, pretend, survive, to keep adrenaline down, because I know you start to go cloud, your heart races, you can't actually even move your hands when you go into that. I know that situation, so that's where I thought, should I pull a gun? Because it was in seconds.
Yep.
But then I saw kids in the restaurant, I said, if I pull the gun, they can draw fire, will hurt the kids.
Yep.
I never saw the other guy at the door with a shotgun. There were 6 of them. So if
Watching.
I pulled, he would have shot
Right.
everybody. So something told me just keep calm. I did pray to God, I said, just get me back to my family, whatever, and lay on the gun. 3 barrels on my head. You just have to stay calm. So I know that surge, I just remain calm.
Okay, he just talked about several things that we just covered. That was a perfect example. So as a gun owner, if you have proper training, they train you to think like that.
But I
And-
hid it. They said all guns
That's
on
right.
the table and I lay on it and pretended.
That's
but
right.
My body lay on the gun.
Right, because you're smart. Because you thought 3 steps forward and said, no, there's children in the room, and if
Then
I
you
pull
start
out,
shooting.
we're gonna be in a gunfight. So that's a very responsible emergency preparedness mentality. Because you were the one who brought up your adrenals.
I know that, because when
Yeah.
you get that surge,
You were right
tunnel
there.
vision, you don't see the guy with the gun there.
No.
You only look
You
at the other
can't-
gun, it's survival.
Yeah, you can't look around and observe your options. Perfect example.
I just, a lot of people want to wait until an emergency to cultivate these skills. You really need to practice them.
That's
in
why
advance.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes. She's like, you have to practice the emergency preparedness, right? Because it's called preparedness. If we are prepared when the thing comes, now we can do. If he hadn't had the training that he had, he could have easily made a knee-jerk reaction. I have to protect myself. I've got something to protect myself with. And it could have been on his soul that people perished. So when we have power, we have to have immense responsibility. Good. What else is going on in our physical body that we need to manage?
Well, just to continue that, when I was a preschool teacher, danger, you know, stranger danger. And so it's amazing how the children just sit there and they just let somebody take them.
Right.
And it's like, no, you need to fight me. I'm not somebody you know.
But that's
Yeah.
education, right? So we have to prepare the children in case somebody comes to you and you feel creepy. I was a youth minister, and every year I'd invite the parents, and I said, we're gonna talk about something very serious. And I would tell the little 2-year-olds and the 15-year-olds, if you feel creepy, I don't care if it's the priest, the doctor, the neighbor, your dad, if you feel creepy, that's a hard no. You don't have to wait and see. And I had them practice, no, don't touch me, I'm gonna tell my mommy on you, like all of that. We practiced it, just like you were saying, you gotta practice, and then they were ready. So if it comes, now you're ready. How many times you go on an interview? You practice, what am I gonna say? How am I gonna answer that? You're preparing. So we have to prepare for emergency, mentally, usually, right? What about this, what about that? That's how I go to sleep sometimes. Right, so if you're prepared, now you're calmer, you're managing your chemistry, and now you can manage things better. You have more awareness and more ability to download better information than what you're gonna come up with, especially if you're managing your triggers. Good. What did we mention earlier about our physical body? That's very important.
Our feet, we were talking about our, is that,
Our feet? Yes. Why is our feet so important? Escape. Yeah. Transportation.
Fight or flight.
Fight or flight. If we have to walk out of a situation, we just had it, right? So I would tell people, you know, like normal people, you know, what about this, what about that? Oh, Ursula, that's not gonna happen. You worry too much. You have too much imagination. So I just keep quiet, like the people in this circle, right? North Carolina happens and I'm like, see? When's a hurricane gonna be in North Carolina? Okay? That doesn't mean that things aren't gonna happen. We know the threats. We take advantage of the cell phone, thinking that that's gonna work now. We are old enough, we were born before cell phone. That's an invention, and other people are in charge of my ability to use that thing. Do not count on a cell phone in emergency. The battery will go out, the satellite's not okay, and you're being tracked. So if you're trying to hide, now you have a tracking device, even if it's off.
Or you're at Walmart and they just don't have service. You can't find those kids.
So the feet are important. If anyone has been in military, anyone military here?
Take care of your feet, they'll take care of you.
Yeah, take care of your feet, they'll take care of you. Okay, there's a thing called redundancy in the survival framework. Not 1, 3. Not one way to start a fire, 3. Not one pair of socks, 3. Not one way to get out, 3. So think in threes. Think, what can I do? So if I have an item, you know those ice packs, those blue ice packs? How many ways can I use that?
Stop bleeding, put it on the wound. You can do.
If it's cold.
Yeah. Oh, if it's not cold?
Yeah. So the one way you can use it is to keep your food cold.
You won't drink it, it's got jabs.
You can't drink it. There's not a lot of use for that, right? So that's a one thing. So when you're evaluating your survival kits, that's not a useful thing. Okay? All right, we'll do that later. Okay, what else did we talk about for our physical body? The brain.
Are you asking?
Yes, we're talking about the physical body now. So we mentioned the brain. How can we take care of the brain? And why is it important? Why is the brain so important?
And part of it is staying calm and staying in the moment.
Because that's where our chemicals are. right? All of our hormones are fired here, so we need to keep the brain clean and clear of all of that anxiety and stress. So that's one, good.
Keeping it the right temperature, keeping your body in the right,
Okay.
the right temperature.
All right, she's saying keeping the body the right temperature, that was they're going for. Hypo or hyperthermia. Hypothermia is when our body's too cold. How long does it take for our body to go into hypothermia and us to be in an emergency situation?
2 or 3 minutes.
2 or 3 minutes,
30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Probably depends on what kind of protection.
It does,
you
it
got on.
pretends, yes, the protection is an element to that
You
too.
got a lot of muscle mass to be able to heat your
Yeah,
blood.
but if you're floating in cold water, it's quick.
That's right,
Yeah,
that's
you
right.
don't start
It's a
swimming
very
like a
short
beast.
day. So we can die quickly from hypothermia. Hyperthermia is our body's overheating. So anyone had a heat stroke before? I have, they're not fun. Anybody had frostbite before?
Yeah.
I have, that's not fun. So once you have frostbite, you never forget it, but your fingers are turning white before everybody else's. Like your body remembers and it stays with you for quite some time.
I have a co-worker that I was working for like, I don't know, 20 years. And last year, he was cutting his grass on summertime. And I saw him the day before, he was fine. And he was cutting grass, and then he had the heat stroke.
Heat stroke.
And he was cutting the grass, and he just died like
Wow.
cutting the grass. Wow.
Well,
Because he didn't react. I mean, he thought it was normal that it was sweating, I guess, and he's like, it's nothing. And boom.
Yeah.
well, he's used to working 4 hours and not really drinking enough.
Right.
And so many people are dehydrated right here in this room.
That's my next point. Good for you. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Donna.
Yeah. So dehydration is the other brain care. All right, so hypothermia is super, I just took a wilderness emergency first aid class. Hyperthermia is number one. So now we're trying to manage all of this stuff, and then now we have to worry about hyperthermia. So that's one of our priorities. If you're taking notes, hypothermia is super important. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. So that's our physical care. So the protection, the hypothermia, what else?
Feet,
Our feet. And how do we protect our brain?
plastic bags.
Hydrate.
The brain.
Just keeping it.
Yeah,
Liquid
and hair.
warm and
That's gonna come
and
next.
protection.
I'm sorry?
Just keeping our whole body warm enough and cool enough.
As an organ or as a mind? Are you
Both.
referring to both?
Both,
Okay.
right? So we talked about the chemistry, managing our chemistry, managing our triggers, but now we're talking about hydration. Have you ever been dehydrated and you make, what happens?
Bad decision.
Poor decisions. What else happens is there's sleep. So in an emergency situation, you don't get 8 hours. You're stressed out, you're on the move, you're packing, you're planning, that's too noisy. So during hurricanes, after the first hurricane, we figured out you have to sleep during the hurricane. Because before the hurricane, you're very busy, and after the hurricane is really where the big stuff happens. So can you imagine having enough control to say, I must sleep as best you can, right? Because your ears are gonna stay awake. But the rest of you has to sleep because you have to manage your energy. That's a part of our physical care, our physical care. So when the brain is dehydrated, the most important thing of all for emergency decision-making, you've just devalued your system by not staying hydrated. Did you know that water alone is not hydrating? You could drink all the water you want, but you may not be hydrated. So people tend to guzzle, I need to drink my water, and they guzzle. The body doesn't process guzzling. You just kind of gave yourself a rinse. So the best way to stay hydrated is sips throughout the day. Sip. We get hydrated through the foods we eat, that have nutrition in them, the vitamins and so on and so forth. So you know the athletes, they drink the Gatorade. What's another hydration liquid that we could drink? Similar to Gatorade. Coconut water. Okay, so every household in our world should have a lot of coconut water because that will hydrate and that will keep the brain online. Good. Watermelon is very good. Those tablets for hydration. You'll have a little hydration tablets for emergency. You're good, you're good. That's very good. Okay, now what else is, that's the physical. Staying warm and cool, regulating our body is super, super important because of the hypothermia. All right, is everybody tracking where we are so far? We got spiritual, mental, emotional, physical. Now, environmental. I have to manage my space around me. What's the number one thing that I have to care about as far as my environment?
Safety.
Safety. Okay, now I have to think about things that I'm not thinking about regularly. How sound is the structure I'm in? Where are the bad guys coming from? Which door can I get in or out? If my house catches on fire, how many exits do I have? So now we're thinking about safety in our environment. Does anyone know what a bug out bag is? Okay, does anyone have a bug out bag prepared? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, good. So in a, 9? Good for you, I missed your hand. So a bug out bag is if you have to get out, if you have like a 15-minute, you gotta go. You may never come back to your house again. You have to have a bag that's packed, ready to go. You grab the bag, you grab your dog, you grab your whoever, and you're out the door. So now you have to evaluate what is valuable in my life that I need to have in that bag. Because if my house catches on fire, if there's civil unrest, if there's a flood and my house is floating down the river, what can I bring with me that's really, really important? Okay, so that's environmental, or we're gonna go back to that. Hi, nice to see you. All right, the other one, remember what is the most important resource?
Water.
Relationships. In the emergencies that I've been in, you find out real fast who are my friends. We don't think about that because we are cultured to be very independent. If people bother me, and I don't want to deal with so-and-so. Our families are very dispersed. We don't live near each other anymore. So you need at least 5 people. Your 3 o'clock in the morning friends. Your can I come and live with you for an unknown amount of time friends. So think about who are my 5.
Should we pack a bug out bag for them to stick in the car?
Well, you want to tell. He's like, should I pack a bug out bag? He's also the one that said, I have to leave my grandma behind. So, in the world of relationships, when I was feeling scared and I started doing some research, I would, okay, what do you guys know? What do you guys know? What did you see? What have you heard? What is your psychic sister telling you? Right? I'm resourcing. So now I'm developing. So then I was like, okay, who's more prepared than I am? Oh, these preppers. Okay, who do I know that's a prepper? I think he's a prepper. I think that guy's a prepper. Like, are you a prepper? Don't say that word.
He's a prepper too.
Yeah, I'm a prepper, you're a prepper. He's a prepper too. So I said, okay, I want to know what's going on. I did my research and I met with some preppers. And I said, am I on track? And they looked at my papers and they're like, this is a good start. It's a good start. I have pages and pages. I have a 36-page document that I've worked on. And then I have several tabs and Excel sheets that I'm still working on. So if I'm prepared, if I'm knowledgeable, now I'm skilled, I'm resourced, and I have choices. compared to where I was when I just had a bad feeling. So I got with these preppers and I'm like, okay, what's the deal? But then they have a scarcity mentality, so they have a hoarder mentality, and they have a tribal mentality, so they lock into their group. But they're all drinkers. And I'm like,
Plenty of beer.
I am not hanging out with a bunch of alcoholics in a contained environment. What is that? What's that book we read in grade school where the boys were all by
Lord of the
themselves?
Flies.
Lord of the Flies,
Oh.
right? I was just thinking Lord of the Flies, right? So I think, okay, whatever. One of the preppers said, oh, here's a lead for you. There's a community called Homesteaders. So now I started reading about homesteaders. I just came back from a weekend camp where they're homesteaders, naturalists, preppers, but they're all chill. The most chilled out group of people I've ever met. Family oriented, they have farms, they all wear knives, they know how to use them. They could go out in the woods and live for days.
Is that one group or just in general?
In general, but this specific group called Georgia Bushcraft. But it's a culture of people. And why they're resourced and why they're so chilled is just what you said, Mark. Because their friends are also resourced. Now I have chickens and you have goats and you have firearms and you have a bunker. And we're all in community. I've got resource. So I've got relationship, I've got people to keep me calm, I have ham radio guys. You see? That's the end result of somebody who's really prepared. So those are the categories. You got them? Spiritually, what do you need to know? Jesus. Your best friend.
Amen to that.
Okay?
Your triggers.
Know your triggers. Yes. Clear your triggers. Come see me. Right. Emotionally. What else besides clearing our triggers?
Self-discipline,
Self-discipline.
don't get into fear.
Right. Don't get into fear. Managing our emotions. What about mentally?
Clarity of mind.
Clarity of mind, because we need to
Make decisions.
make good decisions. Okay? Physically.
Treat your feet, and how your feet will treat you. What was
What'd you
that?
say?
Take care of your feet, they'll take care of you.
Take care of your feet, they'll take care of you. What's our emergency thing that we need to really pay attention to? Hypothermia.
And hydration.
And then hydration, our brain. Environmentally,
Safety.
safety,
Around.
safety around you, exit strategies,
Redundancy,
Re-
cutting free of everything. That's
redundancy,
important.
good,
Make some more friends.
and relation socially, make some more friends.
Right, who aren't alcoholics.
Who aren't alcoholics, maybe people in this room. Now I have a little show and tell. Okay, let's talk about some redundancies. What is this? Baby wipes or wet wipes.
15 uses.
It's a shower.
This is a shower. This is a washcloth, a towel, toilet paper, paper towels, first aid, right?
Multi-purpose.
Kleenex, it's a lot of things. You could even probably strain some water if you were in a really bad situation, okay? But remember that blue thing? That's one use. This is several uses, redundancy. Good. What's this? Water bottle,
Shower.
shower,
Wound cleaner.
pardon? Wound cleaner.
Scare bears away.
What's that?
Making noise with that for the bears.
Making noise for them, okay? For the bears, yes. I thought he said bees. Bears, yes. Yes, it annoys me.
Maybe
Yes.
hydrate your food if you have some food.
Yes, hydrate food,
Could be a weapon.
First aid.
could be a weapon, first aid.
If it's empty, you could take your knife and use it as a funnel.
Yes, you could use this as a funnel. In the bushcrafting world, you can see on videos, they can turn this into string. They just they keep cutting a long line and it turns into string.
Start a fire.
What I would recommend is, take the bottom off, and then you can fill it up with charcoal. And big pieces at first, and then smaller pieces.
And then you make fire.
So it makes the best strainer for water, because you can it's a filter.
Yeah.
Purify water, because lots of water out there just,
It's not
it's in the
good.
creek, but it's not good. But if you purify it,
It's a-
carbon filter is one of the best ways to purify.
Yep, so he's saying put charcoal in here and you can filter water. You can put a cotton ball in the bottom, so fill this with river water, put a cotton ball in here and let it drip, and now you have some of the filter, the debris coming off of the filter. This goes in my cooler instead of that blue thing. It's frozen, it's in there, and now I can use it for all the things we just named. So when you want redundancy, start looking at items and saying, how many ways can I use this? You know, what is this good for?
So you're saying you use a cotton ball and then that's good enough to purify?
It's good enough to filter.
Okay,
Okay, now you need to boil.
okay.
So there's several uses for this, and see how we're being creative and we're using our childlike imagination? Because we're having enough clarity, because we're preparing. We're safe right now. You're not gonna think of these things in emergency. So if I planned ahead of time and I know this is 5, 6 uses, and now I'm in emergency mode, I can look at this and go, oh yeah, I'm resourced. Good.
You can start a fire with it.
Yes, you can start a fire with it, because all plastic is flammable. So fire is a huge problem in the world, in the wilderness world. And that's what I said, you want 3 ways of starting fire. Rob?
I just read this thing this week, which was kind of interesting, talking about redundancies from survivalists or from preppers, and it said, 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Yes.
I was like, wow.
Yes.
I really thought of it that way.
Yes. Now I'm gonna ask, this is plastic, and plastic is flammable.
It's a carbon product.
I know, but when you need a match.
Well, yeah, it's a part of a fire system. So with fire is not just wood. So there's tinder, which is the small beginnings of a flame. That is the most important part of fire, is to how can I get it started. So there's like 10 different ways to tinder. Then there's small kindling. So those are matchstick size, finger size, thumb size, all very small. So if you need to go collect wood in the fire, for the fire, you get a giant branch. Don't waste your energy picking up little pieces. In survival mode, conservation of energy, making good decisions is also really important.
If it's raining, snap it, and if you hear a snap,
It's
it'll
dry.
burn.
And then you can also get dry limbs from trees if it's wet, because that's another problem. Okay, so Carla, I'm gonna have you read some pages here. Here we go. So this is called the 10 essentials. This is another thing that you may want to look up or note of. All right?
You want me to read this?
In a second.
Okay.
What's this?
Toboggan.
A tray? What did you say?
Toboggan.
Toboggan?
It's a sled, yeah, it's a weapon.
Metal tray, is it metal?
It's metal.
You get the edge of that in your throat, you're dead.
Yeah, you could probably
So
use
is
it
the
as a
bear.
weapon. Yeah.
Table.
Table,
Cookware.
cookware.
Communication device.
Yes, communication device.
Mhm.
See, I can reflect it.
Or you can
Way
bang on
to
it.
carry things.
I could bang on it to keep the bears away.
Way to carry things.
Yes, it's a container, a way to carry things. I can keep my stove flat, right? If I'm on a thing, I could put a rock there. Now I've got a surface
so
area.
Structural.
Structural, right. Mark, can you hold this? Okay, all right. Remember I was saying water is really important for hydration. I always bring my water, but this is the 10 essentials. So, what do we have in here? So, let me pull this all out. It's all in my little pack here. And then Carla, you name the things out and I'll show you what I have.
Wow.
Okay, is that for, you want everything or do you want me to
One
read
at a time.
Hydration.
One at a time. Start at the top.
So navigation.
Navigation. what I have here is my little tool. It's a multi-tool, and it has the 4 directions. Compass. So how else I can use navigation is there's education. You can look at trees and find out which is north and south. You can watch the sun. You can use your fingers to see how far you can put stones to watch the sun and direction. So there's other ways to use nature as a navigation tool, but I have a little piece of navigation here. Next.
How do you use trees?
On the south side is where the sun is, so the branches will be heavier on the south side. On the north side is shade, so you'll see more moss. Because of the branches, the trunk will be a little stronger there because the tree is starting to lean that way. Say the next one.
Illumination.
Illumination. I have a flashlight here. This is a tiny little flashlight. It's $30, but this is worth it. So I have illumination and redundancy. Don't have one. I have a spare battery with a little thing to keep it dry. Yep. Another piece of illumination is I have this little lighter.
You can reflect like somebody.
I can also reflect this. This is one of those thermal blankets. Good.
Sun protection.
Sun protection. I have a little sunblock here, but a hat. You mentioned a hat. Hat is very important. I don't have a hat, but I'm saying, she said hat. It's not in that bag, but I usually wear a hat.
Okay.
And you said clothing and sunscreen.
Yes, so that's really shelter. So we're gonna jump to shelter. Go ahead and say shelter.
Shelter.
Okay, so this is shelter because this is a thermal bag. Remember the hypothermia? So look how tiny this is. You can get this at Walmart. This is not an investment. This is like something very important. So remember our bug out bag? Your car should have supplies. Remember we had Snowmageddon?
Right.
There were women in high heels walking along the freeway trying to get home. They didn't have a kit in their car. Have a kit in your car. So this is, like he said, reflection. This is a blanket. This is a sleeping bag. This is gonna help me with hypothermia.
Protect you from the sun as well.
Protect me from the sun. It's a shade cover. It is emergency reflection thing. And shelter starts with our clothing. I'm gonna advance this and hurry up though, because I don't want it to dig.
Is this still part of the 10 essentials?
Yes, shelter. So, shelter starts with our clothing. Cotton is a killer. If cotton gets wet, it takes a long time to dry. And that's not good. It's heavy too. That's why you want those wet wipes instead of a towel, because you can't have a whole shower system. Even your washcloth is gonna stay wet too long. So our clothing, I am, because I lived in the Caribbean, and I like my skin, and hottest day, I'm covered from neck down with a hat on and gloves, because I want to protect my hands too.
Do you wear linen?
Linen is beautiful, because it breathes. It's still natural, but it's not the cotton, because it will dry faster. Linen is great. Wick, these pants are specially designed. They are very durable. I can live 2 weeks in these pants without having to deal with anything. They're stretchable. This is a drying fabric. This is an investment, but because I spend so much time outside, it's worth it. So you want to choose wise clothing. Blue jeans? No. Have you ever tried to stay warm? Blue jeans aren't good. Have they gotten wet? They never dry. So they're good if you have to sit in stuff that's kind of rough, but they're not worth the weight because they're also heavy.
I was just gonna, your point about the shoes, it's probably not a bad idea for all of us as women if we do wear high heel shoes or sometimes get flip flops or something, to keep an extra pair of like tennis shoes or boots or whatever in the car.
Absolutely.
Growing up in Wisconsin, we always had extra pair of shoes, mittens, gloves, water, cookies. We always, like wintertime, we always had stuff in the car. So.
Yes, Absolutely, I'm from Michigan, same thing. This right here is one of the best things I've used over and over again. This is like a picnic blanket, and it's flannel inside, and it's got this waterproofing outside. This is excellent, this could save our lives.
What are your pants made of and the benefits? Are they waterproof or?
My pants?
Excuse me.
They're wick, so they, this part does have a coating on them, and this other part is very thin, so they'll dry really fast, and they are waterproof. They have a lot of structure on them, so I can slide on the mountains. I can kneel down quickly because they're,
Double knee,
yeah, they're double kneed and they're pleated.
articulate.
So I can, yeah, go down, I can scrunch the ankles for ticks. And they got lots of pockets all over the place. So these are really, really
What's the
good.
brand?
This is Fall Ravon. It's from another country.
Do they sell it like you order it?
REI. Yeah. So this thing here is really, I would get one of these if I were you. It's just one of those picnic
They
blankets.
have with Costco, I think.
I think, I don't know, I've had this for years in
How
here.
would you use that? What would you do?
So this is a shelter, it's a blanket, it's a picnic table, it's a tent, it's a signaling device, so if I'm lost in the woods, it's red.
Pillow.
And make
Pillow.
napping in the car more comfortable.
Yep. I put this over my sleeping bag. And when I sleep outside, my sleeping bag doesn't get wet because this is waterproof.
If somebody was hurt, you kind of
Yep,
have like a
you
sling.
can carry them. Yeah. So you see the multi-use? Good job.
And who makes that one?
This is very old, I don't even know. This is called the GoPad. So I don't know.
They do have some different ones at Costco. I got some for Christmas gifts.
Good, so that's shelter, starting with our clothing. Layers they talk about in hiking a lot. So wool is excellent. He mentioned linen. Wool is another excellent fabric that you would want to invest in. So if we get sweaty, what happens?
You get cold.
You get cold. And then what happens? Hypothermia. So that's why we wear layers, and we stop and take the layers off so we don't get sweaty. So we don't end up with hypothermia. That's again that so 3 layers down, right? Oh, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I just want to keep going. Now you get to camp and it's cold, and now you're cold and wet, and your clothes are wet, and now you're in hypothermia land because you didn't make a smart decision early on.
And you're making a smell that the bear can follow.
That's right. What's next on your list?
First aid.
First aid. Okay, well, we kind of covered shelter. So first aid, I have here Neosporin. They say alcohol, so the new trend is don't use alcohol because it takes away too many of the good germs. So we talked about water, right, washing our wound. So in the first aid class, they talked about, wash it best you can, pick out all the little yucky stuff, especially if it's a burn. The worst part of burns is infection. So you want to pick the stuff out and cover it with this or Vaseline. So in your honey, if you have it, right? But yeah,
That might hurt you a little bit getting that honey in the woods though.
yeah, you don't want to be fragrant with
And of course,
anything.
that's got Vaseline in it.
So Vaseline is really good. Neosporin's even better. Aloe. And Thieves. Thieves is very good. Iodine is very good.
What is these?
Thieves is oil from Young Living. And
That's amazing.
the thing about Thieves is, the story is, there was a plague, and the gypsies covered themselves in thieves, and they could go rob the dying people so they could survive. It's a combination of oils and herbs and things like that.
How do you spell it?
Pardon?
How do you spell it?
Thieves.
THIEVE.
Like Alibaba and the 40 Thieves?
Exactly. So, I spray this on my skin, I've sprayed it in my mouth. This is like a toothbrush. Any kind of wound, bugs. So this is like a super multi-use thing. And the most important thing that's new to my patch, my world here, are these. This is a clear Band-Aid. Because when you have a wound, you have to keep the wound clean. and then you run out of supplies and now you have an infection. This right here is a sticky, clear Band-Aid. They call it like second skin. There's probably some other names for it. So you clean the wound. If it's an open wound, you push the skin together and you stick this on. Now you can see what is the condition of the wound, and this will stay 2 or 3 days on there. And look how tiny this is. Question?
Well, I was gonna say, we've seen the bandages that you put on and you pull and it
Yes.
slice together.
Yes, yeah. But if you just squeeze together, you can, this will stick.
You can use duct tape as a bandage.
It comes off very poorly, so you cannot use duct tape. They like to say you can use duct tape, but when they go to the hospital, not so
So
cute.
that's very.
You scan?
Okay, so this right here, nothing, CVS,
It's very sticky.
not duct tape.
And where do you get that?
The CVS, any drugstore. Okay, what else do we have, Carla?
Well, just mention that, keep your things in waterproof packaging.
Right, as much waterproof as you can, because wet stuff is just no good. So in the world of lighters, because all these bushcrackers, they talk about fire constantly. The Bic lighter, they love it, right? All of there's 20 different fire things, and they all say Bic. Get a bunch of them. Don't have one, and don't have 3 of them in the same spot. They should be in pockets everywhere, in your car everywhere. If this gets wet, there's a silver protection thing here. You pop the silver thing off, you shake it, get the water out, and then you blow in the hole, and a few strikes, you get your lighter back. But if you don't know that, you're screwed. Okay, so just educating. This also has plastic on it. If I have my knife, I can shave this off and have a fire starter. We're not there yet.
Next is repair kit and tools.
Repair kit and tools. I used to carry a multi-tool, and I never used it. So now what I carry is this tiny little knife. And that's about all I need. I can get resin off, I can take a tick off. There's a lot of uses for this. I've never really needed it, but this is enough of a tool to get you started. Next?
Do you want me to say the other things on your?
Yes.
So strong adhesive tape and cordage.
Cordage, yep.
I guess we're.
Yep, I have a little piece of cord right here.
If you want, I'll give you $1 for you.
This is very useful if you need it. It's there if you need it and you don't have it, you're screwed again.
Okay. Fire is the next one.
Fire, okay. So I have this little lighter here. I have this card. This card is made out of plastic. Plastic is flammable. With my little knife, I can paste some shavings, start a fire, get my kindling going, and then now I can keep going.
What kind of card is it?
This is a specific, it's called Wazoo, and it's a plastic card made specifically for that reason.
Did you get that through Amazon or something?
Yeah, I think so. I just met this guy. Wazoo. Like up the wazoo.
Like the great kazoo.
Maybe,
Yeah.
probably.
Won't
Okay.
spit back out of
And
the
then you
machine.
said a stove is highly advisable.
Yeah, a little stove, if you're on foot and you want a little stove. They make little propane things, real tiny stuff, REI, you can get a little kit. Especially for boiling water, if you need to stay hydrated.
Insulation.
Insulation, we got that right here. That goes back with shelter, and we already covered it with the sun. So you want layers, so that you can take on and off.
I can't see it. What, can you show us?
This is that,
Oh.
that thing that I showed you
The
earlier.
space blanket.
For shelter, space blanket, thermal blanket. This also, look how tiny this is. This will help you get those ticks off, and you can use it to start a fire with the sun, if you're lucky enough that it's sunny that day.
How do you get ticks on?
Pardon me?
You can see it.
To be able to see it.
Well, to see it, but you go like this and you flick them, you dig through the skin, you try to get under and you pop them out. That's a good question. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Do you keep a tweezer too? Or
Tweezers, you can, yes. I never had tweezers. Tweezers are always in the first aid kit, specifically for that reason.
nutrition?
Nutrition.
Wait, Ursula?
Yeah.
Can you just repeat what you said about the tick? Which way do you look up?
So say there's a tick on my arm, I try and get under, and start scooping it off of my skin. Right, so it's like you're trying to get under and then lift it. You don't wanna pull it, because if the head stays in, you still have some disease infection in there.
So you get kind of behind it?
You get under it, and you kind of pop it out.
Under it from behind.
Yeah.
Don't squeeze it.
I have heard that if you grab it and squeeze it, you go to the emergency mode and it regurgitates the blood that is back into you. Which is not good.
Yeah. So do not grab it and squeeze it, you're gonna get worse. Good. No, so nutrition.
Can you start a fire? I mean.
Yeah, so how do you start a fire with this? It's a magnifying glass, so you get the sun behind you, you get some small leaves, any kind of those shavings. And and then you go ahead and direct it, makes it a bright light, and it'll eventually smoke.
Like how long?
Practice.
I mean.
It depends on how sunny it is, it depends on how dry your leaves are.
Yeah.
And if you see smoke, you can add air. But if there's a flame, don't blow it out. It's gonna turn into a birthday candle. Okay, so you can blow the smoke, but don't blow the flame. Nutrition. So in a small bag, I usually do carry protein bars with me, but the highest pack of protein is pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds.
Wow.
Okay.
You know how many people throw those out this season?
Also, in this little tool here, I have, it's a whistle, and it gives you the temperature gauge, just so you can get scared. This is a mirror for signaling, and it also has another magnifying glass. So this is a super handy little tool, Walmart. Okay? Pardon me?
The pumpkin seeds are really rich in.
Nutrition, protein.
Oh, protein.
And would you say that's the most important thing to have is protein type nutrition?
Yes, protein.
Versus any
protein.
carbs? Protein
Carbs
is
will spike our blood sugar and cause a dump. So you want protein. Why? What's the thing we're trying to keep?
Brain.
So Good.
What department was that magical little thing you just showed us?
In the camping area.
Okay, hydration, electrolytes.
Hydration. So I have a little bag here with a few hydration things. So the hydration things go, because I've been caught in the woods before with no way to consume the hydration things, and now you're super stuck.
Yeah.
So now I have a cup and a holder that to put this in, and now I can drink it and share it. So look, that takes very little room. You saw that little teeny little pocket.
That's the bag.
Yep.
Where's the bag?
The bag,
Oh, the bag is the cup, okay.
right? And just pour the thing, dissolve the tablet, whatever I have,
Oh, it's
and
a
now I
tablet.
can.
When you say hydration things, there's tablets in that bag?
This is a powder one,
Okay.
and there's also ones that come in tablets that dissolve.
And what's in the tablet? Like magnesium?
Electrolytes.
And Ursula, do you keep one of those straws that you can stick it in whatever water?
I don't, but there's it's called Life Straw, and you can put it in any water and then drink from there. Yeah, it's a concentrated filter, and you have to suck like crazy. But in case of emergency, you'll take it.
So then we're back to emergency filter, which we already kind of.
Yeah, covered, good, good. And then safety is more of awareness, making noise, and the little knife. Fire is also a piece of safety, because at night, people get scared. Even grown men who train, who have arms, they are afraid of cats at night. But if you have a fire going, you will feel safe. You won't feel so scared. Okay, that's all I got.
And is this a backpack or is this a water
This is a
pack?
Camelback, and it has a bladder in here with a tube. You want your hands free. So this, I wear this on my back.
So do you keep yours filled?
Yes,
And
otherwise
it
it gets
doesn't go,
moldy. No. It doesn't.
Okay, so you keep this filled, and then you had all that stuff in this as well?
In this tiny little pocket.
So is that your whole bug out bag?
This is my 10 essentials.
Okay.
It's not a bug out bag?
Oh, no. There's no gun in here. There's no paperwork in here. You need a list of your people, you need addresses, you need documentation.
Oh, those are good things to think about. I
Yeah.
hadn't thought about having the
I know, I got
paperwork.
so much more to offer.
There's just a little side note, but it might be interesting to some people. I grew up in New York. I grew up upstate New York, cold, miserable, all that stuff. Like she was saying, we, in our cars, we always had stuff. I moved to Southern California, forgive me, and then I moved here, and it was the first time I saw snow in years and years. And I had a Mercedes, and it's the only reason I didn't get stuck, because they were kind of those German things. But I realized that was a very dangerous situation. I had skid chains, and I put them in the Mercedes. They're heavy, they're consuming, you have to line it up. If you're stuck, it's too late. My wife came across these plastic strips, you know, like you have the little
Zip ties. Zip ties.
Things.
Zip tie?
They have now made those, they're orange, they're very bright. They cost like $10, and you get a bag of about 20 or 30 of them. So if you're in a car and there's snow, it doesn't care what size vehicle you have, you put those straps on and you've got snowshoes on your car in about 5 seconds. They're online, just put plastic skid chains, I mean, it'll show.
So knowing your environment, knowing what kind of weather conditions, right? Are you in an earthquake zone? What do you do there? Civil unrest, all kinds of things like that. So what I'm passing around is the QR code for my newsletter. Please get on my newsletter. If you want more information, I have more things to share with you. I can sell you that 36-page document and the class that I put on before. And I'm just a good resource, so please use me. Here's my card if you want to schedule a 20-minute, just go ahead and pass them around, 20-minute call. There's a QR code for that. And thank you very much. Do you have any questions, any comments?
Well, Paris is hardly the wilderness, but I was there in June, and I was in between trains, and my phone battery died, and I had a charger, and I went to malls, I went to Versace, I went all over everywhere, and everybody said prohibitive, you cannot charge anything. So everywhere in Paris, I was lost for 4 hours. No one would let me charge my phone.
Wow.
And I said, oh my God, I'll never ever go without a backup charger
Yeah.
again. But when you're out there,
That's a good idea too.
you know, it's when you're out there in the wilderness for days. When you're out there in the wilderness for days, I mean,
Yes.
what do you do?
That's right. Don't count on you can't count on your thing.
Phone? Can't
No.
count on your phone at all.
I covered that earlier.
Yeah, and I'm
Now
sorry.
it's a tracking device,
Okay.
right? If you're trying to hide, now it's a tracking device, even if it's off, even if the battery's dead.
That's true.
So you need to like get rid of that or bury it. Right, so that's what I'm saying. Before you came, we're of the generation pre-cell phone, and we were fine.
More than 5.
Yeah, you can get it better off.
Covered wagon was fun.
Yes, yes. Glenn.
First of all, I'm reflecting back on your entire content, it's fabulous. And I'm thinking one thing you did not mention was situational awareness.
Yes.
And I'm thinking of those folks on the Beige and the yacht, the capsize.
Yep.
Capsized. Half of them got out, half of them did, right? And if they go into some of the things you're talking about, plus including situational, they would survive.
Right. So when I'm saying we'll go backing into the spiritual thing, and if I have more capacity,
Right.
I can observe what's going on, who's okay, oh, there's an exit over there, oh, there's a person over there. So that's kind of the situational awareness. As we go from beginner to middle to advanced, our situational, because we can manage the chemistry and the emotion, our situational awareness becomes greater and greater. So me on that battlefield compared to the general, his situation is elevated because he's doing cause and effect. If I make this decision, what's three steps later? That's situational awareness, right? Because you may want to cut the rope right now, but you're gonna be sorry later.
People go to the back of the ship, and you should go to the bow.
Exactly, exactly. So it's the more training that we have. Last comment, question?
I was gonna say that there's a book out called Always Singing the Lifeboats.
Always singing the lifeboats.
Because it calms you down.
Yep.
And you might not be able to see anybody, but they could see you or hear
And they
you.
can hear you.
And so, the situational awareness, once again.
Yep.
Because I've been in weird situations where all of a sudden you run into somebody you know.
Yep.
And just in the middle of the desert, all of a sudden, you're in high school with somebody. You know,
Right.
it's just
The
weird.
problem with that
So-
singing in the
so we're-
lifeboats is you're liable to scare all the wildlife off, and then
Yeah.
you're really isolated.
All right, so we'll close with that. Thank you very much. Singing in the lifeboats. Thank you very much. Thank you.
One other thing, take the knife out of your pocket before you go to the airport.
Yes.
You've got enough of mine.
Yes.
Well,
David.
Hey,
I didn't hear what you said.
I'm a friend, but with a legitimate, hopefully legitimate question. I know you have, I've known you for quite a while. I know you have different courses, different matters that you address from CEO executives down to people with the boots on, right? So what courses do you offer that raises situational awareness, being in shape subconsciously, so you know don't go there, which is kind of getting in shape? What do you, without going into individual, what do you have?
Super perfect question based on what he was saying around our triggers, right? Remember I was saying clear your triggers. So the people in this room are very self-reliant. You're educating yourself. I just finished a class called On Your Path, and that's how to get to know yourself in different ways. So if you sign up for my newsletter, now you have access to me. Reach out and put On Your Path, because in my probably December newsletter, I will be selling that as an online course, and you can do the self-education. It's a six-week class. Thank you, David. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you again.
Back to you, Carla. Oh, and I wanted to say, you know, Carla is doing this monthly, so it's like twice a month.
With the 2 meetings.
Yeah, twice a month. She's not getting paid, right? So you guys can tithe to her. Spiritually speaking, when we tithe to the value that we're receiving, we even get more out of it. She's doing this out of the kindness of her heart. It's her ministry, but everybody wants money. So if you really appreciate her, another way to say thank you is to send her some cash. So,
Well, she's got a basket here, we can pass it around.
okay. And I'd
I
like
do
to.
have one for donations if, you know, to help you with some of the expenses.
And I just have a little thank you gift for inviting me, so I can share with them.
Well, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
So wasn't that great? So just out of, as a show of hands, if we were to do maybe a workshop, or if Ursula did one herself, or we did one as the group, who would be interested in going to that?
Can we camp all weekend?
If we were to do, if we were to have Ursula maybe do a workshop for us, if she's willing.
That would be fun.
You know, it looked like there was quite a few people who were interested. I know, personally, I've been thinking about the bug out bag, and I've collected a few things, but I haven't done it, and something like that I know would spur me on to go ahead and get that darn bug out bag and the 10 essentials. I think it's really important. I know I would definitely want to come to that, so.
Thank you.
Maybe we can get Ursula to put something together for us.
I can make that happen.
So, do you have a
I
question?
want to remind you about the December, if you're gonna, I don't think you mentioned it before.
No, I hadn't got to that yet, thank you.
Okay.
So if you enjoyed tonight, you are in luck because we have a whole month of Ursula this month. So, as I was mentioning before, we have the Agents of Health meeting, and we also have, as a featured speaker for the Agents of Health, is going to be Ursula as well. And what she's gonna be talking about is, and you can correct me if I don't have this quite exact, but is how to get your subconscious to work for you instead of against you. And I was thinking about this, how maybe some of you are like me, most of the time pretty positive, but once in a while you find your brain just goes off to some dumb thought that's kind of not beneficial to you, and then I have to go, oh no, cancel, erase, you know. And I thought, well, wow, I think this is a great idea to train my brain to, my subconscious to work for me instead of going off and doing those little things that don't help me so much. So I believe that's the gist
Right on.
of what Ursula's going to talk about on Wednesday. And who couldn't use a little extra like boon in your pocket to have your subconscious on your side, right? So, mark your calendar, please, for next Wednesday. I believe that's the 20th. I don't have this in front of me, but I think it's the 20th. And that's gonna be at La Madeline. And then also, Ursula and I are just doing something special. It's not necessarily an agents thing, thank you. But it is, we talked about, after this election, there's always gonna be like, half the world isn't gonna be happy, right? Or half the country, because of the way our system works. And so we wanted to do something to just kind of raise everybody's frequency. We've talked about frequency in here before, great emotion, spirits, frequency. And so we're going to be doing a special meditation on Saturday. So it's a Saturday, easier to get to, no traffic. Saturday, December 7th. It's a morning thing. It's going to be, the meditation itself is 10 till noon, but we're asking to please get there at 9:30 because the meditation actually starts at 10. So we want to get there at 9:30, get a seat, chat, whatever, and then sit down. And this is going to be do you want to say?
Yeah, the Twin Hearts meditation that I do every Tuesday, where we bless the planet with loving kindness. It's actually been studied. And is very, very beneficial compared to other meditations. So the researchers decided I'm just gonna do this one from now on. The more you do the meditation, the more it works on you. Again, focus is one of the key components, regulating our chemistry, like we said. So that Tuesday night meditation is on the newsletter. And then I happen to be teaching that exact same weekend, pranic healing. So if you want to learn energy healing, Reiki was an introduction to energy healing for me, but when I got to pranic healing, it's like a university level. Master Chokhak Sui is a chemical engineer, so everything's very practical and logical and usable. So if you're interested in that, the newsletter that you're going to sign up for on that link is actually the information there. So if you're curious, you can get some more education there.
And it's not just, correct me if I'm wrong, but we weren't gonna just do Twin Hearts. We're also gonna do another meditation beyond that that's even more fantastic. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to do it myself. I have done the Twin Hearts meditations numerous times. It was definitely life-changing. It was really an amazing meditation. And I don't know what this meant necessarily, but I went last week, the night before the election, and she took my frequency or whatever beforehand, and I was like 622, and she measured me afterwards, and I was 977. Wow. So I thought that was pretty cool. Whatever that meant, I don't know, but I thought that was pretty cool. So, and so the way that this works too is I always say to you guys, every single thing that we think and say and do is significant. It means something in the world. Always our choices, right? In every single moment, we have a choice. We can go high or we can go low. So choose high. But the thing is that when we come, everything that we do that's in that higher frequency, right, affects who's around us. And when we come together as a group, that effect is exponential. And so when we're doing this meditation, we're not just raising our own frequency, we're raising that of those around us. And David R. Hawkins, who wrote the book Power versus Force, said that one person at the frequency of 700 makes up for, I believe it's 4 million. So check me on that figure, but I believe it's 4 million people. It helps raise the frequency. So it's a really important thing. So I hope that you will mark your calendars for that and that you'll want to come. Where is it? That's going to be at the City of Light building. Thank you. And that's easy to get to on a Saturday. It's right at like 285 and 85. Right in that area.
Where we went for the sound healing.
Yes, if you happen to come to the Agents of Health for Sound Healing, which was really cool,
It was.
it's going to be in the same building. So, all right. So that's all that I have.
Are we still passing around the?
Oh yes. Yes, we had the QR codes, and then Ursula's page that had the categories is going around. If you want to take a picture of that with your phone.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is. Yeah, the 10 essentials, and then she's got
take a
QR
picture.
codes. Oh, here. Who hasn't had this yet?
We haven't had it.
All right, there you go. All
Is
right.
that on this? The 10 things?
No, that's a separate page, and it's going around somewhere.
Where's
Just
the
take a
10
picture
essentials
with your
paper?
phone.
Right here.
Okay. Thank you.
Did you
All
wanna
right,
take a
and we've
picture?
got some workshops that we're working on putting together, so stay tuned for more really fun stuff and helpful stuff. And I think that's all I have for tonight, so thank you guys for coming. Thank
Thanks for your participation.
How much for that?
Here's your pen.
I'm gonna put the three stuff.
Yeah, see you right here. You reach next?
there's more.
Yeah, good to what's your name? Rob. Yeah, good to see you.
I feel like I'm a Catholic, I mean,
No, I just come from.
I didn't even hear of that.
Wow. It's right behind.
Here we go.
Okay, great. You have a card? Oh, there she is. Grab him.
Grab it?
Grab him.
You told me to grab your ass.
Grandma?
She needs a glass. Yeah.
Take your card.
There's one glass.
Be my guest.
I didn't know. I didn't get sure. That's the first time you go through the room.
My dad in town, so.
Wait over here. Hey, you're late.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
I'll see you next month. Okay, do that.
There you go. It's already down to me too.
Safe travels.
It's on my David from
Hey.